Have you ever felt a whisper of discontent with the world as it's presented to you? A quiet rebellion against the well-trodden paths, the accepted truths? Perhaps a sense that something profound lies just beyond the veil of conventional wisdom? Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher who dared to shatter the idols of his time, beckons us towards such a rebellion. He understood that true insight into the human condition demands a radical departure from conformity, a willingness to question everything held sacred. For it is in this very act of questioning, of challenging, that we begin to glimpse the unseen truths of human nature. Why is non-conformity so essential to understanding ourselves and the world around us? Because society, like the individual, possesses a shadow, a repository of uncomfortable truths, of repressed desires and denied realities. This shadow distorts our perception, limiting our understanding of what it truly means to be human. The path to liberation, to authentic self-mastery, begins with confronting this shadow. Imagine a hidden room filled with forgotten relics and unsettling portraits. This is the societal shadow, and conformity is the locked door that keeps us from entering. Only through radical non-conformity can we find the key, unlock the door, and illuminate the darkness within. Carl Jung, a spiritual heir to Nietzsche, spoke of the shadow self within each individual, the part of us we deny, repress, and project onto others. Society, too, has its shadow, the uncomfortable truths it refuses to acknowledge. Non-conformity, then, is the light that exposes this shadow, forcing us to confront the realities we would rather ignore. In this journey of unveiling, we will explore 4 Nietzschean paths, each a vital step in shattering the chains of conformity and forging your unshakable inner strength. These are not mere intellectual exercises, but pathways to profound psychological liberation. They are tools for dissecting the very fabric of human nature, for understanding the hidden dynamics of power, and for cultivating authentic personal power, not manipulation. Are you ready to embark on this journey of radical non-conformity, to challenge the foundations of your beliefs and embrace uncomfortable truths, to step beyond the shadows and into the light of self-mastery? The first path on this journey of radical non-conformity leads us to the revaluation of values, a deconstruction of the moral programming that shapes our thoughts, actions, and very being. It is a path fraught with peril, for it demands that we question the foundations upon which we have built our lives. Consider the silent wound, the anxiety, the cognitive dissonance that arises when we dare to question deeply ingrained moral beliefs. This discomfort is not a sign of weakness, but an indication that we are touching something fundamental, something that demands our attention. It is the echo of a long-forgotten truth struggling to surface. We have been taught that good and evil are objective, immutable categories, that there exists a universal moral code applicable to all people in all times. But Nietzsche challenges this very notion. He argues that these categories are not divinely ordained, but rather social constructs carefully crafted to maintain power structures. They are tools used to control and manipulate, to suppress individual will and enforce societal conformity. Imagine a puppet master pulling the strings of morality, dictating what is right and wrong, good and evil. These strings are invisible, yet they bind us, limiting our freedom and preventing us from realizing our full potential. The revaluation of values is the act of cutting these strings, of freeing ourselves from the control of the puppet master. What happens when we discover that our moral compass, the very instrument we rely on to navigate the world, may be guiding us towards self-repression, not self-actualization? This shattered expectation can be devastating, but it is also an opportunity to forge our own moral compass, one that is aligned with our authentic selves, our deepest values. To begin this process of revaluation, Nietzsche offers us the genealogy exercise. Trace the origins of your core values. Ask yourself, who benefits from me holding this belief? What are its hidden costs? What unspoken assumptions past does it rely on? Consider the value of obedience. Who benefits from your obedience? The state, the church, your employer? And what are the costs? The suppression of your own will, the sacrifice of your dreams, the denial of your authentic self? Nietzsche reminds us there are no moral phenomena at all, but only a moral interpretation of phenomena. Morality is not an objective reality, but a subjective interpretation, a story we tell ourselves about the world. And like any story, it can be rewritten. Are you ready to rewrite your moral story, to create a new narrative, one that empowers you to live a life of authentic freedom and self-mastery? The second path toward radical non-conformity is perspectivism. This path challenges the very notion of objective reality, shattering the illusion that there is only one correct way to see the world. It is a journey into the subjective, a recognition that all knowledge is interpretation, colored by individual experience. Think of the frustration of feeling misunderstood, the unwavering belief in your own correct perspective. This can lead to conflict, isolation, and a deep sense of alienation. But what if the problem isn't that others are wrong, but that you are clinging to the illusion of objective truth? We are taught to believe that there is one objective truth, accessible to all who are willing to seek it, a universal reality that exists independently of human perception. Nietzsche argues that this is a dangerous delusion. All knowledge, he claims, is interpretation, filtered through the lens of our individual experiences, biases, and beliefs. Imagine standing before a multifaceted diamond, each facet reflecting a different ray of light. Each reflection is a perspective, a unique interpretation of the same object. To claim that only one reflection represents the true diamond is to deny the richness and complexity of the whole. What happens when we realize that our truth is only a truth, that other perspectives hold valuable insights we have been blind to? This shattered expectation can be disorienting, even frightening, but it is also liberating. It opens us to new possibilities, new ways of understanding ourselves and the world around us. To cultivate perspectivism, Nietzsche offers us the multiple interpretations exercise. Take a current conflict, a situation in which you feel deeply entrenched in your own viewpoint. Force yourself to articulate the opposing viewpoint as convincingly as possible. Step into the shoes of your adversary and attempt to see the world through their eyes. Consider a political debate. Instead of simply dismissing the opposing viewpoint as ignorant or malicious, try to understand the experiences and beliefs that have led them to hold that position. What fears are they trying to alleviate? What values are they trying to uphold? Nietzsche reminds us there are no facts, only interpretations. Reality is not a fixed entity, but a fluid and ever-changing landscape of perspectives. By embracing this truth, we can break free from the prison of our own limited viewpoint and cultivate a deeper, more nuanced understanding of the human condition. Are you ready to embrace the multiplicity of perspectives and shatter the illusion of objective reality? Our third path into radical non-conformity confronts the unsettling dynamic of master-slave morality. This is about recognizing the often unconscious resentment that fuels our actions, distorting our perceptions and hindering our journey toward authentic self-mastery. It's a deep dive into the hidden motivations behind our moral judgments. Consider the silent wound, unrecognized resentment driving passive-aggressive behavior, feelings of powerlessness masked as moral superiority. Perhaps you find yourself consistently criticizing others, subtly undermining their achievements, all while maintaining an air of pious disapproval. This may be a manifestation of the slave morality at work. We are often taught to view ourselves as inherently good, while demonizing those who deviate from our moral code. Nietzsche reveals that this seemingly virtuous goodness may be a reactive formation born of resentment, a defense mechanism against feelings of envy, inadequacy, and powerlessness. Imagine a caged animal pacing back and forth, consumed by frustration and rage. Unable to directly confront its captor, it lashes out at anything within reach. This is the essence of the slave morality, a reactive force fueled by resentment and a desire for revenge. What happens when we discover that our moral outrage is a disguised expression of envy and a desire for revenge? This shattered expectation can be deeply unsettling. It forces us to confront the darker aspects of our own nature, the parts of ourselves we would rather deny. To begin unraveling this complex dynamic, Nietzsche offers us the resentment audit. Identify areas in your life where you feel bitterness or envy. Question the source of these feelings. Are they motivating you toward growth and self-improvement, or are they holding you back, trapping you in a cycle of negativity? Consider a colleague who has achieved a success you desire. Do you find yourself subtly diminishing their accomplishment, focusing on their flaws, or spreading rumors about their methods? This may be a sign that resentment is at play. Nietzsche reminds us the slave revolt in morality begins when resentment itself becomes creative and gives birth to values. The values of the slave morality are born not from strength and self-affirmation, but from weakness and reaction. They are designed to undermine the powerful, to level the playing field by dragging everyone down to the lowest common denominator. Are you ready to confront the resentment that may be fueling your actions, to break free from the chains of the slave morality and embrace a path of authentic self-assertion? The fourth and final path on our journey of radical non-conformity leads us to amor fati, the love of fate. This is not a passive acceptance of whatever life throws our way, but an active embrace of the entirety of our existence, with all its joys and sorrows, triumphs and failures. It is about seeing the eternal recurrence not as a curse, but as a catalyst for self-overcoming. Consider the silent wound, the fear of imperfection, the constant struggle against fate, the inability to accept the present moment. Do you find yourself dwelling on past mistakes, anxiously anticipating future challenges, and resisting the reality of the here and now? This resistance is a form of self-sabotage, preventing you from fully embracing the richness of your life. We are taught to view suffering as something to be avoided at all costs, a deviation from the ideal, a sign of weakness or failure. Nietzsche proposes a radical alternative, embracing suffering as an integral part of a meaningful life, recognizing that it is through challenges and adversity that we grow, learn, and evolve. Imagine a sculptor shaping a piece of clay. The process is not always smooth or painless. There are moments of frustration, of struggle, of apparent setbacks, but it is through these very challenges that the sculptor refines their craft, and the clay is transformed into a work of art. What happens when we understand that every moment, even the painful ones, contributes to our becoming, that the eternal recurrence is not a punishment, but an opportunity to live our lives with greater intention, joy, and acceptance? This shattered expectation can be profoundly liberating. To cultivate amor fati, Nietzsche offers us the eternal recurrence visualization. Imagine living your life exactly as it is, infinitely repeated. Every joy, every sorrow, every triumph, every failure, knowing that you will relive this life exactly as it is for all eternity. What changes would you make to live it with greater joy and acceptance? Consider a difficult relationship, knowing that you will relive this relationship exactly as it is for all eternity. Would you approach it with more patience, compassion, and understanding? Would you make amends for past mistakes? Would you strive to create a more loving and fulfilling connection? Nietzsche reminds us, my formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. This is not about resignation, but about radical acceptance, about embracing the totality of your existence with all its imperfections and transforming it into a masterpiece of self-overcoming. Are you ready to embrace amorphity and transform your life into a work of art? Our penultimate path on this journey of radical non-conformity explores the dangerous freedom it unlocks and why it demands radical responsibility. For true non-conformity is not simply about rejecting societal norms, but about forging your own path, guided by your own values, and taking full ownership of your choices. Beware of the nihilistic trap, rejecting all values without creating new ones, leading to apathy and despair. It looks like liberation, but hides meaninglessness. This is the shadow side of non-conformity, the danger of simply tearing down without building anew. Imagine a ship adrift at sea without a rudder or a compass, free from all constraints. It is at the mercy of the winds and the currents, tossed about without direction or purpose. This is the fate of those who fall into the nihilistic trap. We are often told that non-conformity means complete isolation and rejection of all social norms. Nietzsche advocates for selective non-conformity based on critical self-reflection. It is not about blindly rebelling against everything, but about carefully examining each belief, each value, and choosing to align yourself only with those that resonate with your authentic self. Imagine a gardener carefully tending to their garden. They do not simply uproot every plant in sight, but selectively remove the weeds that are choking the life out of the flowers. This is the essence of selective non-conformity, a process of discernment, of choosing what to keep and what to discard. What happens when we recognize that true independence requires immense inner strength and constant re-evaluation of one's own beliefs? This shattered expectation can be daunting. It reveals that non-conformity is not a destination, but a lifelong journey of self-discovery and self-overcoming. To navigate this journey, Nietzsche offers us the ethical compass. Define your own core values based on self-knowledge and a commitment to self-overcoming. Use these values to guide your actions, to make decisions that are aligned with your authentic self, and to create a life of meaning and purpose. Consider your relationships. What values are most important to you in a friendship or romantic partnership? Honesty, loyalty, compassion? Use these values to guide your interactions, to set boundaries, and to cultivate relationships that are based on mutual respect and understanding. Nietzsche reminds us, you have your way, I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, the only way, it does not exist. There is no single path to enlightenment, no universal formula for success. The path to self-mastery is a personal one, unique to each individual. It requires courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to embrace the dangerous freedom of non-conformity. Are you ready to chart your own course and navigate the uncharted waters of your own being? We have traversed 4 distinct paths, each a vital step on the journey of radical non-conformity, each a key to unlocking the unseen truths of human nature. We began with the revaluation of values, deconstructing the moral programming that shapes our perceptions. We embraced perspectivism, shattering the illusion of objective reality and recognizing the multiplicity of viewpoints. We confronted the dynamics of master-slave morality, acknowledging the resentment that can fuel our actions. And finally, we embraced amorphity, the love of fate, transforming suffering into a catalyst for self-overcoming. These paths, though challenging, are not merely intellectual exercises. They are pathways to psychological liberation, tools for dissecting the very fabric of human nature, for understanding the hidden dynamics of power, and for cultivating authentic personal power, not manipulation. Remember, radical non-conformity is not about blindly rejecting everything, but about consciously choosing your own values, forging your own path, and taking full responsibility for your choices. It is about daring to question established beliefs, to challenge the status quo, and to embrace the discomfort of uncertainty. Imagine a blacksmith forging a sword. The process is not easy. It requires intense heat, relentless hammering, and constant refinement. But through this arduous process, a simple piece of metal is transformed into a weapon of strength and beauty. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, the overman, offers a powerful analogy. Non-conformity is the crucible in which the individual is forged, constantly striving to transcend limitations and become something greater than they were before. It is a process of continuous self-overcoming, a relentless pursuit of self-mastery. This journey demands courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. It requires you to constantly re-evaluate your values, to challenge your perspectives, and to remain open to new possibilities. The final challenge, then, is this: to embrace the discomfort of questioning established beliefs, to forge your own path towards self-mastery, and to constantly re-evaluate your values and perspectives, to become the unseen, the individual who has transcended the limitations of conformity and embraced the full potential of their being. Are you ready to step into the crucible, to embrace the fire of non-conformity and forge yourself into something greater than you were before, to become the architect of your own destiny, the master of your own soul? The path to authentic self-mastery lies before you. Will you dare to walk it?